What up, my devils? Sensei-tutum here with another video for you. Gonna do a brief market update. So we'll touch on some big boys, starting with Big Papa Bitcoin here first. We have gotten external. Time to go ahead and do a video. Did a video for the members yesterday. Got a little bit passionate talking about, we got the intricacies of the theory and how to trade it and things like that. So we're gonna keep that one for the members. Gonna do this more just brief overview for you guys. So let's start with Bitcoin. Just to recap what my previous thoughts were from my last video is I said that the count was, my bias was that we were in a sideways consolidation that would break to the upside. We did not. That was, of course, before all of this. I actually took a long in here. Here, we can go ahead and zoom in on the corrective for you. So I actually took a long in here. Hoping for a C or a 3, depending. These are the type of trades you want as an Elliott Wave trader. Got out in small profit because, it just didn't look right. None of this looked right. Once we got all in up in here, it was, it was pretty much curtains. I wasn't sure that this would happen, of course, but I wasn't looking for that. So I wasn't, my mind wasn't there. If it was, I would have shorted the shit out of it, but my head just wasn't there. I certainly wasn't longing any of this. And I certainly wasn't longing yesterday. I'm not longing today. I know that some people were catching knives. Be careful, fellas. Look for signs to enter on the, on this large degree. We're calling this 4-hour chart here, large degree. Look for signs to enter before you enter. Just price being lower than it was yesterday is not a reason to buy, right? So we'll get to that. And so my bias was, again, that this was sideways consolidation with a break to the upside. However, that didn't happen. And my secondary was that we could leg down, but regardless, I still find that we are in a, larger degree uptrend. We are correcting this move, and there's no reason to start panicking about 0, 1K, whatever. I know that there's a lot of people with, they have they have their reasons that they think that perma bears, they have their analysis, and I like to say I stole this from somebody I don't know, someone smart, but are you in a trade because you like the trade, or do you like the trade because you're in the trade? And I think it's more, do you love it because you're in it, or are you in it because you love it, or do you love it because you're in it? So if your bias has been 1K for, 2 years, and they have their reasons. They do. I just, I don't necessarily agree with it. Although there is I'll show you guys the way that I see that something like that might be able to happen, but I just don't see it going there. So that was my bias. And the triangle count had issues, and I went kind of in depth on this with the members yesterday, but it had its problems, right? That this was all a triangle, and it was not a triangle. Now, the count that you see on here now would be, I guess, called the alternative, called now the primary, is what I would have. And this count has its issues, right? This count has its issues, multiple issues. The least of which is not, not the least of which is that this X wave does not retrace the requisite 90%. Now, I did talk about this for the members. I'll mention it here briefly. There are other organizations, people that give you rules and guidelines that will say that this, in a sideways. Remember, WXY, just like ABC, denotes different patterns. And those different patterns have very different rule sets. And in a sideways style of correction, which this X wave is, the minimum retracement is 90%, per the rules. Now, this is a rule that EWI will allow its analysts to break. But there's very specific circumstances in which that happens. I guess we're going to allow that here. I still don't love it, but it's sort of the count that's slapping us in the face. It has problems, just like every other Elliott Wave count has problems. The theory of Elliott Wave is fractal recognition, right? And it works out beautifully so much. You can trade it so profitably. Now, the problem is when it becomes unclear. And even Elliott warned that at times the count will be unclear, right? and he's, gave you what to do at that time, and that's don't fucking trade it, right? When I was long in here, I wasn't long for this degree of move. I was long for a small, I was trading all internally because, within here, the count was more clear than at the larger degree, right? So it's not like I was, going all in anywhere. Now, am I starting to think about larger degree trades? Sort of, pick up maybe, some potential hodl coins? Yeah, that's starting to be on the radar now. Because, again, like I said previously in the last video, that, if this were to break to the downside, it's just going to leg down, finish correcting this, and then we'll go up. And, I think worst case scenario, right now we do have a completed 9-wave move. You can slice this up differently if you'd like. It doesn't matter to me. If you know Elliott, 9 waves, completed impulse, or mode of structure, right? So I think worst case scenario, we come down correct, and we've put in an A. And then we come down correct, finish, go put in a B. Make challenge the all-time high, make new all-time high, whatever it may be, and then come back down for big old C wave, put in a flat, right? I think that is your worst case scenario. But, say it is a C playing out, and, you would expect it to take a similar amount of time as this did, 6-7 months. I'll take along for that long. Whatever it comes to be. I'm certainly not going to hold to zero. That's not my style. Anyway, so this is where I'm at with Bitcoin. Counts with problems, but what are we looking for? What are we looking for when to buy? Well, we're going to look for resolution of count. We're going to look for, which the count is unclear, right? So we can use other things like channels, like divergences, like previous levels of support, wave 4 of 1 less degree, Fibonacci levels, things like that, okay? And then I implore you to be checking log scale and arithmetic on your Fibonacci measurements here. And, at this point, if this is, the count, we are finishing an impulse down, and that will be the last leg. So that's what I'm looking for there. Again, if you're going to buy, look at things like this and this, and, even this, and sort of look for something like that for if you're going to trade this degree for something like that, is that, and when you see that, that's when you buy. Because what happens after, So don't want to get, I'm not going to trade your chart for you. I always say that, and I'm not going to do it here, but that's my advice. So let's talk some big alts. I guess we'll do EOS first. Didn't want to talk about that, but we'll go out of order. Okay, EOS. All right, so this was, for these alts, I'm going to put up, previous counts that I've had so that we can sort of catch up where we are now as to where, we were driving back then. So this is one of the last charts I put up for the members with the larger degree, and it said that both red and green were still in play, red and green. I would say at this point, and I got a lot of flack for saying that EOS could potentially still be in a bear market, just because people saw it going up. Got a lot of shit for that. And you know what? My opinion never changed. I certainly kept the bull and the bear alive, but it was, it was very bullish. But, if you look at the net retracement, we'll get to, it makes sense. There's your 382 right there. And so this is where I was. Now, the red count, as I've talked about in old videos multiple times, the problem with that count, but it could not be discounted, was that it violated guidelines. And that would have been that this was ABC, this first ABC. And if this is your X wave, it does not break the channel formed by that first ABC, which you want to see in a multiple zigzag structure. I would say at this point, with this depth of retracement, you find me another count that works, right? So where are we at now? Guess I forgot to put a count on this, but it's going to be pretty much the same on all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relief down. So if that was, that would say if this was an X wave and this was a completed 3 wave, we're looking to put another 3 wave in, and that could be potentially your B here, right? So potentially come down here to a double bottom. And that's sort of something you'll see as a theme here. So let's switch to the next chart, which will be ETH. ETH. Okay, so this was, this is LTC. I'm sorry. You can wait. Zeos. There's Litecoin. Okay, so with this count, we had potential, super bullish. We had a completed one here, so 5 waves to here, funky 3-4 in here. And then we had another 5-wave structure. 9-swing move is a completed impulse. However you want to slice it up, I'll show you how I've done it. Didn't show it here. And, where can we go wrong for this count? We didn't strike the median line. What happens with the Andrews principle and median line? You come down to at least the area of where it started, the move towards the median. And then we had a completed 3-wave down to here, A, B, C. Well, should have been aware that that's very likely could have been a 1, 2, 3. We did have this sharp move off the low, but you know what? That's actually very, I've seen a lot of times people say, whether it be up or down, when I post, the start of a 4 and a leg of a 4, it's a very sharp move. And they're like, are you sure for a 4-2? It's like, where do you get that idea that a 4 doesn't start sharply? It does often. We'll look at that here. Let's go look over. This is set. I said where we could go wrong. We've now created a new low relative to this. So what does that leave us? What option does that leave us? That this was an ABC. And then now we're, same thing as EOS. Impulse down. This was your relief rally B. Was hoping it would be bigger, but it wasn't. So, now we're on the next leg. Do we create a new low? Don't know. We'll have to see how it plays. But just, your rough projection for the 1-to-1 of the A is not a new low. But so maybe it's some type of truncation, or potentially this could be the start of a new impulse. Could that be it? I don't recall the count over here. This seems very ABC to me. So WX, and remember, these have been so fast and massive on the downside from the all-time high. I could see truncations, but remember how rare a truncation is in a zigzag structure. So while the 1-to-1 is here, look at the relative size of this, and the one's not even necessarily done yet. So project it out, but could be really pretty rough. I'm not calling for that. Just showing what we're observing right now. We're gonna trade this wave by wave. And again, still in Bitcoin. We're still looking for reasons to buy. And, I'm not saying it's not going to, the alts will diverge greatly from this, or, I'm not trying to make any sort of determination as far as that goes right now. But it could, so do we follow Bitcoin and make this truncation go up, or do we diverge for a while and, have bigger loss, or do we just have bigger losses in this time of correction for Bitcoin, which we did over here as well. So all right, let's move on to, are we ETH now? Yeah, ETH. Okay, okie doke. So we've got ETH, and let's look at our old ETH here. So at the time we know when we were counting ETH, most of the way through here, I did videos on this and said how this doesn't look impulsive, right? This looks corrective. We've got all this overlap and nastiness and things like that. But, we were making strides and getting stronger towards the end. We look at this increase in volume here on this 3 wave. So, that's quite obvious it's a 3, but, did you think it was a larger degree? It was hard to say. So at this point here, we had completed 3 waves from this. Now, the whole key to this count was this wave here. Was it a diagonal? Was it a 3 wave? And it, it always worked better as a 3 wave, it always worked better as a diagonal, but it didn't quite make sense unless it was a 3 wave, right? So, and then of course you would have to figure out in the determination here, but look at this impulse, corrective and impulse. So, it very much makes sense. But this is where people like to say, oh, Elliott Wave is subjective. Okay. So let's say that we were strong, we thought the bullish count was we were super strong on the bullish count and we went with that bullish count. Was it subjective or were we wrong? Right? So it's not that it's subjective necessarily. It's just that you're either wrong or you're not. The count is the count. And there's no predetermined outcomes, right? So we're just playing probabilities and things like that. Talked about that for the members yesterday. Remember, it's all about probabilities. A lot of people wanted to make this make this wave down a 3-wave. Talked about this in a video already. I think it was obviously a 5-wave. You got your A, B, C for your relief rally that I talked about, but it was shallow like everything else. And again, now we got to have another leg going down. This is definitely a level to watch for a bounce. If this is a 1-wave, if that's a 1-wave, then we could potentially put the 5th of the 1 right in this support level, bounce, and then 3 will break through it. You'll get your volume spike coming through. People think the world's ending, and then this 100 level may catch us and screw over a lot of people, or we might come down to the new lows. And all of these charts, this is sort of a question right now. Do we make new lows, or are we going to reverse just with a deep, we'll call it a truncation, because all of these charts are pretty much the same, right? And then there was XRP. This was just, support resist trading with MAs. Didn't really feel like putting a count on this shit coin. No offense if you love it. Sorry. And we've broken through. This is a new line I've drawn. I would say it's significant. We're resting above it right now. If we, I'd say if we come below this for any significant amount of time, just like I talked about in this, once you break through, the next destination is the bottom of the trading range. So if this doesn't hold, we'll come down, test this bottom. I think that is a good idea for where, brief, nothing in depth. I'm not making any predictions here, just giving ideas of where I'm at with the market. I'm not telling you when to buy or where to buy. Still bullish, more bullish Bitcoin than alts, as I have been. Bullish as shit, I think I said in one of my videos, and bearish as shit on the alts. So, look for the channel, look for your divergence, look for similarities between this ending, things like that. And if you miss it, you miss it. Or you just catch the knife and cut a finger. Up to you. Toot out.